Have you ever encountered an idea so perplexing that it made you question reality? The kind of idea that seems so logically sound and yet leads to a contradiction, a paradox? These are not mere intellectual curiosities. They are fissures in the edifice of our understanding. In this exploration of the absurd, we will delve into the labyrinth of philosophical paradoxes, those mind-bending thought experiments that have confounded thinkers for centuries. If you enjoy this kind of topic, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest videos. Let's begin our journey.
The liar paradox is a statement that contradicts itself, creating a logical conundrum. The classic example is the statement, "This statement is false." If the statement is true, then it must be false, as it claims. But if the statement is false, then its claim is false, making the statement true. This creates an endless loop of self-contradiction. The liar paradox isn't just a linguistic trick, it cuts to the heart of how we define truth. If a statement that asserts its own falsity can be neither true nor false, what does that tell us about the nature of truth itself? Does truth exist independently of our statements about it, or is it something we construct through language? Language, in a sense, is a system of symbols we use to map the world around us. But what happens when the map folds in on itself? When the symbols point to a contradiction within the system itself?
Zeno of Elea, a pre-Socratic Greek philosopher, proposed a series of paradoxes that have baffled mathematicians and philosophers for millennia. These paradoxes, often centered around the concepts of motion and infinity, challenge our most basic intuitions about space, time, and the nature of reality. Imagine an arrow in flight. To reach its target, the arrow must first travel half the distance. Then it must travel half the remaining distance, and so on, ad infinitum. Zeno argued that because there are infinitely many halves in any distance, the arrow must complete an infinite number of tasks in a finite amount of time, which seems logically impossible. Therefore, he concluded, motion is an illusion. Another of Zeno's paradoxes, the Achilles and the tortoise, posits a race between the swift Achilles and a tortoise, given a head start. Achilles can never overtake the tortoise, Zeno argued, because in the time it takes Achilles to reach the tortoise's previous position, the tortoise will have moved a small distance forward. This process repeats infinitely, with Achilles always trailing behind. We know from experience that arrows do fly, and runners do overtake slower opponents, but Zeno's paradoxes force us to confront the counterintuitive implications of dividing distance and time into infinitely smaller units. The resolution of Zeno's paradoxes lies in the realm of mathematics, specifically the concept of convergent infinite series. Mathematicians have demonstrated that an infinite series can indeed have a finite sum, meaning that an infinite number of progressively smaller distances or time intervals can add up to a finite value.
Chapter 3. The Ship of Theseus. If every part is replaced, is it still the same ship? Imagine a grand wooden ship, the pride of a legendary hero, Theseus. This ship, a marvel of ancient craftsmanship, was celebrated for its strength and beauty, a symbol of Theseus's legendary voyages and heroic deeds. Over time, the ship begins to show its age. The once sturdy planks start to weather and decay. The sails that once billowed proudly now show signs of wear and tear. A plank decays, and it's replaced. The shipwrights carefully select new timber, matching the grain and texture as closely as possible to the original. A sail tears, and it's mended with new cloth. The new sail is crafted with the same techniques, ensuring it performs just as well as the old one. This process continues over years, decades, even centuries, until every single piece of the original ship has been replaced. Each new part is chosen with care, maintaining the ship's functionality and appearance. The question arises, is it still the same ship? The Ship of Theseus paradox delves into the heart of identity, change, and the very essence of what makes something what it is. Philosophers have debated this question for centuries, pondering the nature of identity and continuity. If an object undergoes a complete replacement of its parts, does it retain its original identity, or does it become something new? This question challenges our understanding of what it means for something to be the same over time. The paradox has profound implications for how we understand the identity of not only objects but also ourselves. It forces us to consider whether identity is tied to the material components or to the form and function that those components create. Our bodies, after all, are constantly renewing themselves, replacing old cells with new ones. Every few years, nearly every cell in our body is replaced, yet we consider ourselves to be the same person. Are we still the same person we were yesterday, last year, a decade ago? Or are we, like Theseus's ship, a collection of constantly changing parts, a continuous process rather than a static thing? This idea extends to our memories, experiences, and even our personalities, which evolve over time. Some argue that the ship remains the same because it retains its original form and function. The ship still looks and operates as it did when Theseus first sailed it, maintaining its identity through continuity of purpose. It still sails the seas, just as it did before. The essence of the ship, they argue, lies in its ability to perform its intended function, regardless of the materials from which it is made. Others contend that the gradual replacement of parts fundamentally alters the ship's identity. They believe that the ship's identity is tied to its original materials, and as those materials are replaced, the ship becomes something new. Each replacement, they argue, is a small death, a chipping away at the original entity until nothing of the original remains. This perspective sees identity as something that is lost piece by piece, rather than maintained through continuity of form and function. The Ship of Theseus paradox has no easy answers. It challenges us to think deeply about the nature of identity, both in objects and in ourselves. It asks us to consider what it means to be the same over time, and whether true identity lies in the material components or in the continuity of form and function. This paradox also invites us to reflect on our own lives. As we grow and change, we replace old habits, thoughts, and even physical cells with new ones, yet we still see ourselves as the same person. This continuity of self, despite constant change, mirrors the Ship of Theseus and its enduring identity. In the end, the Ship of Theseus paradox is a powerful metaphor for understanding identity and change. It reminds us that while the components of our lives may change, the essence of who we are can remain constant. This paradox encourages us to embrace change as a natural part of life, while also recognizing the enduring aspects of our identity. Just as the ship continues to sail the seas, we too continue our journey through life, constantly evolving, yet remaining true to our core identity. The Ship of Theseus stands as a testament to the resilience of identity amidst the inevitable changes that time brings. The Ship of Theseus paradox invites us to ponder the deeper questions of existence, identity, and change. It challenges us to look beyond the surface and consider the true essence of what makes us who we are. In doing so, it offers a profound insight into the nature of identity and the enduring human spirit. As we reflect on the Ship of Theseus, we are reminded that identity is not a static concept but a dynamic process. It is shaped by our experiences, our growth, and our ability to adapt to change. The Ship of Theseus paradox serves as a powerful reminder that while the parts may change, the essence can remain, guiding us through the ever-changing seas of life.
Chapter 4. The Omnipotence Paradox. Can God create a rock he can't lift? The omnipotence paradox grapples with the limits of omnipotence, often attributed to a divine being. The classic formulation of the paradox asks, can God create a rock so heavy that even he cannot lift it? If God is all-powerful, he should be able to create any object, no matter how massive. However, if he creates a rock he cannot lift, that would seem to contradict his omnipotence, the very quality that defines him as God. This paradox isn't merely an attempt to poke holes in theological doctrines, it's a profound exploration of the nature of power, logic, and the limits of our ability to conceptualize the infinite. If omnipotence means the ability to do anything, does that include the ability to conceive of and execute logically contradictory actions? Some argue that the paradox arises from a misunderstanding of the nature of omnipotence. True omnipotence, they contend, doesn't mean the ability to do the logically impossible. Instead, it implies the ability to do anything that is logically possible and consistent with God's nature.
Chapter 5. The Grandfather Paradox. Can you go back in time and undo your own existence? Imagine traveling back in time, encountering your grandfather before he met your grandmother, and for whatever reason causing his untimely demise. Without your grandfather, your parent would never have been born, and neither would you. But if you were never born, how could you have traveled back in time to kill your grandfather in the first place? This is the essence of the grandfather paradox, a thought experiment that has captivated science fiction enthusiasts and perplexed physicists for decades. It highlights the potential contradictions and logical absurdities that arise when we consider the possibility of time travel, particularly travel to the past. The grandfather paradox challenges our understanding of causality, the fundamental principle that every effect has a cause and that events unfold in a linear chronological order. If time travel to the past were possible, it seems that it would undermine the very fabric of cause and effect, potentially creating a chaotic web of paradoxes and inconsistencies. Several hypothetical solutions have been proposed to address the grandfather paradox. One possibility is the Novikov self-consistency principle, which suggests that time travelers are somehow prevented from taking actions in the past that would contradict the already established present.
Outro paradoxes, these seemingly impossible knots of logic, serve as constant reminders of the limits of our understanding. They're not merely intellectual curiosities, they are windows into the profound mysteries that lie at the heart of our existence. As we've explored these 5 mind-bending paradoxes, we've been forced to confront the complexities of truth, time, identity, power, and the very fabric of reality. What other paradoxes intrigue you? Share your thoughts and any other mind-bending conundrums you find fascinating in the comments below. If you enjoyed this thought-provoking discussion, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest video. Thanks for watching and engaging with us. See you on our next journey.